So I ducked over to the road just to try. I cannot believe this, but in Massachusetts, she's not even in the bottom 10 judges. Look, that still shocks me. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, hang on. Latest comments. Criminal defense attorney on the 2nd of April at 10:55 p.m. This judge is corrupt as they come. Damn. Anyway, all right. So let's go to Norfolk County. She's got 44 reviews. Most of the judges have 0. This other guy, Paul Yee, I'm curious. I want to have a look at him in a second. But she's got an average rating out of 44 reviews of 2.3. Now, like I said, like 30 odd of these we need to ignore because, you know, I think a good number of these are just people that are pissed off about the Karen Reid trial that aren't actually, like, attached to the case, shall we say? Which, you know, you can do what you want, but this is the same as review bombing Dr. Spiegel in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Like, just because she deserves it doesn't mean you should do it. Average attorney rating is 2.3. Oh, there's now 13. There's 13 ratings by attorneys, and non-attorneys, she's got a 1.0. That's funny. So we got judge is corrupt as they come. Judge bears a singular responsibility for the length of the first trial, short days, no days, etc., and continues with their treatment of the defense and their ability to mount a defense. Just like Proctor wished Karen Reid would commit self-yeeting, Judge is into bankruptcy. She's also so obvious as to a bias. Yeah, we all get that. Review bombing can end up hiding actual bad reviews if they just do a clean slate and remove all reviews. This is true. What do we got? You and the Karen Reid trial from Iowa. So again, so you know what? Not gonna say it. That keyboard warriors, we probably shouldn't be doing this because it does have a overview. Oh, hang on. I forgot about this. At one point there were over 100 and something reviews, and then the roving room had to go through and remove a whole bunch of them. Sites intended for members of the bar and the public to provide honest commentary, critique, and prose of judges. While we do not act as gatekeepers, pre-selecting the comments for publication at the same time, we periodically review comments and remove them when inappropriate or potentially libelous. Examples of inappropriate commentary include calling a judge corrupt, on the take, drunk, or a criminal. Well, it's funny because you've got a criminal attorney that literally just called her corrupt, but okay. Same to flaming the judge with the identical criticism minute after minute, day after day is also inappropriate. Of course, developing personal, non-public information about a judge, their family, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, fine. Here's another criminal defense lawyer. Judge Beverly Cannone's handling of the Karen Reid trial continues to raise serious concerns about the fairness and judicial integrity. Her courtroom decisions consistently favor the prosecution, creating a one-sided trial that undermines the very concept of due process. From the outset, she's demonstrated a troubled pattern of suppressing defense arguments, disregarding key evidence, and allowing blatant misconduct by the prosecution to go unchecked. One of the most alarming aspects of her conduct is refusal to allow critically exculpatory evidence that contradicts the state's narrative. She's actively blocked expert testimony and crucial witness statements that exonerate Reid, while permitting the prosecution to present speculative and questionable evidence. There's a selective gatekeeping which suggests an agenda rather than an impartial application of the law. Her bias extends beyond rulings. It's evidence of demeanor and her control of the courtroom. She frequently interrupts Reid's defense team, cutting off their arguments and diminishing their ability to challenge the prosecution's case. Meanwhile, she grants the prosecution wide latitude, allowing it to make misleading claims and objections without scrutiny. The double standard is impossible to ignore. Furthermore, she's allowed law enforcement figures involved in the case to escape scrutiny, even after the face of clear evidence. Even in the face of clear evidence of investigative corruption. Rather than ensuring a fair trial, she appears to be protecting those with institutional power at the expense of the defendant facing life-altering consequences. The trial should have been about uncovering the truth, but under Coe's oversight, it has become a mockery of justice. Her actions erode public trust in the legal system and demonstrate why judicial oversight is desperately needed. A judge who cannot uphold the principles of impartiality and fairness has no place on the bench. Fucking well said. Someone got pissy. Someone had their comment deleted and then got pissy. Next criminal defense attorney. Oh, wow. Someone actually stepped in and said, excellent judge generally, if anything, she faces the defense, but great temperament. How bad do the other ratings have to be to go from a 9.1 to a 2.3? At this point, I'm only really interested in the ones that the attorneys are posting. Deleting these factual reviews, if Judge Beverly Cannone wishes to have good reviews, she should be ethical. Extremely pro-prosecution with a blatant disregard for fairness and defendant's rights. If she has an agenda, then constitutional rights be damned. Wow, that is an extremely detailed review. Good on you. It's ridiculous that the public cannot trust this website that rates judges to be honest. pretrial issues and questionable rulings, bias towards prosecution, courtroom conduct, and procedural concerns. Okay, here we go. Oh, damn. This is an even longer one, and it's here for a reason. Do not erase any portion of this review. Judge Beverly Cannone's conduct raises serious ethical concerns. She's repeatedly demonstrated conduct that violates key judicial canons meant to ensure fairness, impartiality, and integrity in the courtroom. Her handling of cases suggests a pattern of bias, lack of transparency, and failure to uphold the basic tenets of judicial ethics. A judge must ensure public confidence in the integrity of the judiciary. However, rulings and courtroom behavior have led to widespread complaints, raising serious concern about her ability to remain neutral and fair. Rather than maintaining impartiality, she has demonstrated favoritism in cases, often disregarding evidence or silencing parties who challenge her authority. This fosters the perception that the justice in a courtroom is not applied equally. This individual is not talking specifically about the Reed case. This is someone that is talking from personal experience based on the wording here. Fuck. Judge Cannone has failed to provide fair hearings, frequently interrupting litigants and making decisions that seem predetermined rather than based on case law or facts. Reports suggest that she disregards due process and essential judicial responsibility. The public has raised concern about potential conflict of interest in cases she presides over, further eroding trust in her ability to make unbiased rulings. The reputation amongst litigants, attorneys, and even colleagues has suffered due to these repeated ethical lapses. Judicial accountability is essential, and the overwhelming number of complaints against her should not be ignored. Judges should be held to the highest standard, and when they fail, they should be called out and investigated. If you've had a negative experience in her courtroom, I encourage you to document it and file a formal complaint. Judicial integrity must be preserved, and judges like Beverly Cannone must be held to account for failing to uphold their sworn duties. God damn. Following the Karen Reed case. Okay, I think we might be coming to the end of the attorney comments. As an attorney, I expect judges to uphold the principles of due process, fairness, and impartiality. Unfortunately, Judge Beverly Cannone has repeatedly demonstrated a concerning pattern of judicial misconduct that raises serious questions about her ability to preside over cases objectively. In my experience, she has exhibited clear bias in her rulings, disregarded critical evidence, and shown a willingness to suppress testimony that does not align with her apparent predisposition. Rather than applying the law consistently, she appears to favor certain parties, creating an uneven playing field for litigants. Moreover, her management of the courtroom is often arbitrary and unpredictable, making it extremely difficult for attorneys to advocate effectively for their clients. The number of complaints against her is not surprising, as her judicial temperament and rulings frequently fall short of the standard expected of fair and impartial jurists. For attorneys handling cases before Judge Cannone, I strongly advise meticulous preparation and vigilance, as procedural fairness may not be guaranteed. Litigants deserve better, and the legal community should not overlook the growing concerns regarding her judicial performance. Starting to notice a pattern in the reviews. I assume Bev's aware of this website. Probably. See, the scary thing is, guys, you got to remember as well, do we honestly think she's going to retire after the Reed case? I mean, there was an argument saying that she was supposed to be and that she was holding on just to finish this case. But do we honestly think that someone like her is going to give away that kind of power? Or do you think she's just going to try and step away with no consequences? God damn. What ways her bias leaned in the past? From the sounds of the reviews, in favor of the prosecution, which doesn't surprise me if she's supposedly friends with Morrissey. She denied her own order asking her to recuse, knowing the public was already claiming she was connected. It was further proven to be true. The judge requested this case. That should tell you everything. She has a plan as to help convict an innocent woman to protect the guilty ones in that house. Every single criminal defense lawyer should show up to that courtroom and send a clear message to this disgusting judge. We cannot allow a judge to reward prosecutor and police misconduct or punishing the defense defendant for even a minuscule of an issue. It's absurd, and if it continues, this judge given qualified immunity, judicial immunity, then I would suggest everyone leave the rogue state. Latest news, Nicola Gobo's moving to Canton where she can practice law without question. Okay, for those of you that don't know why that's funny, Nicola Gobo, lawyer X, was the barrister that was informing on her own clients to the police. And I believe that one of the major players in that area, Tony Mockbell, I'm pretty sure he was up to have his sentence reviewed yesterday as a result of what she did. Doesn't overlooking due process rights potentially open her up for past ruling for review. If I were a party that had lost in one of her cases, I would certainly be bringing it for. I mean, you've got to do certain appeals and certain reviews within time limits. I don't know the specific rules, so I'm talking out my arse here. Don't take this as any sort of authority, okay? But with judicial misconduct and procedural fairness out the window on that, I would say you'd at least try and have it reheard. Mock Bell's review is pending. Okay. I love that someone used the website to file a formal complaint. Holy crap. 15 points, including facilitating a cover-up. Oh, I was wrong. We still have more defense attorney ones. As a defense attorney, I've had the opportunity to observe and interact with numerous judges throughout my career. Unfortunately, Judge Beverly Cannone's handling of cases raises serious concerns regarding due process, judicial impartiality, and defendants' rights. Yeah, so she well and truly swings towards the fences for the prosecution. Judge Cannone has demonstrated a pattern of rulings that disproportionately favor the prosecution, often restricting the defense's ability to present key evidence, cross-examine witnesses effectively, or argue critical motions. This imbalance directly undermines the adversarial process, which it does, which is essential for a fair trial. The role of the judge is to act as an impartial arbiter, yet too often her decisions appear to align with prosecution's interests at the expense of the accused's constitutional rights. Additionally, her courtroom demeanor has been described as dismissive and unapproachable, particularly towards defense counsel advocating for their clients. Well, we've seen that firsthand, haven't we? A fair legal system requires judges who are willing to listen to all parties, apply the law without bias, and ensure that justice is not only served, but seen to be served. When judges fail to uphold those principles, it damages the public trust in the judiciary and jeopardizes the rights of those who rely on the courts for a fair trial. Based on my experiences and those of my colleagues, I believe that a formal review of Judge Cannone's judicial conduct is necessary to ensure that the rights of defendants are not being systematically eroded in her courtroom. I doubt that this website would do anything. This is more like Glassdoor. This is more like Rate My Teacher. No, maybe not. Ooh, not a lawyer, but as a court staff member in another jurisdiction, I've had the opportunity to observe and compare the practices of various judges, including Judge Cannone. Unfortunately, her handling of cases raises serious concerns about judicial integrity, courtroom management, and adherence to due process. She's developed a reputation for rulings that appear to favor the prosecution at the expense of balanced legal process. Numerous reports suggest that she routinely limits the defense's ability to present key evidence or question witnesses effectively. Such practices undermine the fairness of that our legal system is built upon. Additionally, accounts from litigants and attorneys indicate that her judicial temperament is inconsistent with the standards expected of a fair and impartial judge. Courtroom proceedings under her oversight have been described as hostile or dismissive, particularly towards individuals who challenge her rulings or seek accountability. A judge's duty is to ensure that the justice is administered fairly and without bias. When judicial conduct repeatedly falls short of these principles, it damages public trust in the courts. Based on observations and widespread concerns, a formal review of Judge Cannone's courtroom practices may be necessary to restore confidence in the judicial process. Oh, and then we've got two criminal defense lawyers. We got one that says one of the best judges on the bench. I'm curious. I'm going to review the details on that. As a legal practitioner, I've had the opportunity to observe Judge Beverly Cannone's courtroom conduct and judicial decision-making. Unfortunately, I have significant concerns regarding her ability to uphold the principles of impartiality, due process, and judicial integrity. She's demonstrated a pattern of rulings that raise questions about her adherence to the fundamental legal standards. In high-profile cases, she's exhibited deference to prosecutorial arguments while limiting the defense's ability to present a full and fair case. His imbalance undermines the adversarial process and erodes public confidence in judicial neutrality. Additionally, reports from colleagues and litigants suggest that Judge Cannone's courtroom demeanor can be dismissive, particularly towards individuals who challenge her rulings or seek accountability. Notice how it's all the same style of language. Judges' role is to ensure fairness, not to impose undue restrictions that hinder the pursuit of justice. The legal community relies on judges who apply law consistently, free from external influence or personal bias. When judicial conduct repeatedly falls short of these expectations, it is imperative to call attention to such concerns. Based on observed proceedings and documented complaints, I believe a review of Judge Cannone's performance is warranted to ensure that the justice is not compromised in her courtroom. And we're actually at the bottom of the page there. Holy smokes. Bloody hell. So there you have it, peeps. That's what members of the bar tend to think about her. Kind of struck me as all the same types of complaints, and then it tends to renew with no words or context. Oh, well, I mean, let's face it, that one probably came from Marcy's office. Literally, that 1 10-star thing. Temperament, 10. Scholarship, 10. Individual, 10. Competency, 10. Punctuality, 10. Flexibility, 10. I call it crap of shit. Pre-trial matters, 10. Trial judge, 10. Industriousness, 10. I call crap on that. I really do. I call bullshit.